friends, today's card is using a new stamp set. It's called Still Scenes. It is in the new Stampin' Up! Holiday Catalog 2019-2020, and this stamp set is part of a bundle, and it includes these awesome dies. I haven't played with them yet, but you know I'm going to, and yes, I will do a video. And as you can tell, it makes beautiful snow globes, and we have the little cups to make the little shakers as well, so I can't wait to do that. But today's card is just using this beautiful stamp set. Alright, I have all my pieces pre-cut to save a bit of time. This is our Merry Merlot, one of my favorite colors, and I've cut it at 11 by 4 1/4 and scored it at 5 1/2. It's our same standard card size, just, you know, opens a little bit different, just something fun. I have another piece of Merry Merlot. This piece measures 5 1/4 by 4, and can you see that really neat texture on it? I ran this through one of our new embossing folders. The embossing folder is called Hammered Metal, and it's really fun, especially on our foil cardstocks. But all I did is I just lightly misted my cardstock with water and ran it through my die cutting machine. Misting it with water gives it a really deep impression. So this is really a fun embossing folder. The Whisper White cardstock layer measures 4 by 3 1/4. Then I have a piece of gold foil cardstock. Now this measures 4 1/4 by 3 1/2, and as I've shown in some previous videos, I like to take one of my rectangle dies and cut out the center, and then I've got this piece to use for other cards, and then I've got this piece for matting on. Okay, I want to adhere this to the card first of all. So I'm going to use my tear tape. You could use any adhesive that you like, and I'm just going right along the center. I'm leaving a little overhang. I'm just going to fold that over. And then I'm just going to lift off the backing. Now I'm taking my Real Red 3/8 inch cotton ribbon, which is new in our holiday catalog as well, and that's going to go over. And Real Red and Merry Merlot, not necessarily a color combination that one would think would work, but it does. And this makes a really nice color scheme for this vintagey card that I'm going to make. Okay. Since I have my tear tape, I'm just going to go ahead and use that to adhere this to the card base. Okay, and that's going to get put on just like that. And then I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to come back to that. Okay, now it's time for the stamping. The first thing I'm going to stamp is the sentiment. Beautiful sentiment. It reads, "May the timeless message of Christmas fill your heart and home with joy today and always." I think that's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to be using that a lot on this year's Christmas cards. I'm just going to put that on my block. And because it's red rubber, I'm stamping it with Stays On. So I know some people are confused about which ink pad to use when stamping. So here's what I do, and here's what I suggest as well. Our black memento works best with our photopolymer stamps. So for instance, our snow front stamp set is photopolymer, which says right up the top here. These are our see-through stamps. Okay? You want to use your black memento with these because this Stays On does not adhere as well to our photopolymer stamps. It'll become really sticky and you're just not going to get good coverage. Now your Stays On is something you want to use on your red rubber. You could use memento as well. I personally like to use Stays On every time I use my red rubber, just because quite often I don't know how I'm going to color it if I'm using my aqua painters, which have water. So this is a solvent ink, it's not going to bleed. My memento is also good for our Stampin' Blend markers, forgot to mention that. Sometimes if I stamp with memento and my photopolymer and I want to use my aqua painter, I still do. I'm just extra careful with the amount of water that I use. So hopefully that helps clarify. Stays On, anything that you want it to stays on. Items like plates or tile coasters, just remember, stays on. It's going to stay on. So it's a solvent-based ink. So red rubber, clear. Hopefully that helps. If not, leave a comment and I'll try to answer any questions you have. Okay, stays on. I should also mention getting a stays on refill. Actually, all our ink refills when you buy an ink pad is a really good idea. That way, if your ink pads dry out, you've got something to refill it with, and they're gonna last you forever. One more thing, actually, there's a plastic covering that comes on top of the stays on ink because this dries pretty quickly. What I do is I just put some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of my lid and then put that plastic on there so I don't lose it. It's a good idea to put the lid back on as soon as you can so that that ink pad doesn't dry out. So now I'm just stamping my sentiment. I'm leaving a little bit of an edge up at the top and pushing down nice and firm. Love the script on this. Now I'm taking the pretty house. And I'm gonna stamp that right in the middle. Just like that. Stampin' Up completely outdid themselves with our holiday catalog this year. It is sensational. I'm loving everything. Okay, now it's time to color this. I am using my watercolor pencils. Okay, the colors that I'm using are Real Red, Garden Green, Old Olive, Early Espresso, Bermuda Bay, and Cherry Cobbler. Now, I am going to start with the house. So I'm taking my Real Red. I'll zoom in for you guys. There we go. And I'm just going to lightly color with my pencil crayon onto the house. And the little chimney. Now I'm taking my Cherry Cobbler and I'm just going to add some darker color here. Now, I'm not an artist, and I might not be putting the shading on the right spot. I know sometimes people leave comments that the moon should have been on the other side of the lighthouse or whatever it is that I do, but I've never given a card to someone and they said you've got the shading in the wrong spot, so I don't care. I just have fun, and that's what I suggest you do as well. Just have fun. And what's next? I'm gonna go in with my Old Olive. Might not even, yeah, I'm gonna use both greens. So I'm just going underneath the snow that's on the tree here. I'm going to add a little bit of the garden green just to add a bit of brightness to the tree. See, now I do sound like an artist, even though I'm not. Oh, we forgot a little bush over here. And my Early Espresso is going to go on the trees. I don't worry too much about being in the lines either. I mean, yes, you don't want to go completely out of the lines, but it's gonna look beautiful when you're done anyways, because it's the watercolor look. It doesn't have to be completely perfect. I'm actually bringing in my basic gray to do the little walkway. It's not going to be covered with snow because they shoveled that walkway. Daffodil Delight. We're going to color in the window so it looks like somebody's home. I'm going to have a sip of tea while I decide what color to do the door. I'm going to do the door in Cherry Cobbler. There we go. Okay, so there's what I have. Now, you could use the aqua painter. I am going to use a blender pen. And the reason why I'm using a blender pen versus an aqua painter is just because you have a little bit more control when you're moving the color around. So when you buy our blender pens, you get 3 in a package. They are dual tipped. They're exactly the same. So it's like you're getting 6 in a package. And a little bit of scrap paper. So you always want to go back and forth on your scrap paper first, just to make sure you don't still have ink from the last time you used it. And I'm going to start where it's lighter with the red, and then start pulling in some of that cherry cobbler. And if you have too much, go back and forth on your paper, and then just work your way around the little house. Now I'm going into the cherry cobbler. It's really neat how this watercolor pencil flows. I'm going into the yellow now. So again, I'm going back and forth on my scrap paper to make sure that I don't have any red on my tip. And that's how you clean these as well. You just go back and forth until it comes out clean, and then you can go into the next color, which I am going to go into the green. And I'm going to do the little walkway. Now I'm going to do the trees. Okay, now I'm taking my Bermuda Bay and I'm going to lightly go around the whole scene to add a little bit of sky. So with a very light hand, just go in little tiny circles. You can go up and down too, but I just like to go in little circles. Very, very lightly. It's amazing how adding this little extra sky around the picture just kind of makes it pop. Okay, so you can see my little scribbles. And now I'm just going to blend that all in, and it removes all those little line marks. You want to make sure you get in those little tree limbs. And you want to be careful not to pick up color. Like I just picked up a little bit of red from that chimney because the blender pen will pull that color into the picture. Now I'm pulling in the Christmas Gleaming stamp set. I've been using this set way more than I thought I would. I'm just loving the sentiments, the holly, well, everything about it. But on this card, I want to use this image right here. Okay, so I'm taking my garden green ink pad, and I'm going to go all the way around the edge. So I'm just going to stamp it in the center. Trying to do it without getting my head in the camera. And now the two edges. Same thing down here. So there's kind of a line across the image. That's what I'm trying to line up with my cardstock. And this just adds a really pretty decorative edge. And I'm overlapping a little bit on that bottom bit, that's all right. This one needs a little bit more. Okay, next up, I'm taking my real red marker and the fine tip, and I'm just going to go around and add some red berries, which will also pull in the red that we have on the house and also the ribbon on the card. Okay, so that's all the stamping done. Okay, so I'm going to put this on my card first. So I'm just using some liquid glue. Okay, now I'm going to add this piece. Okay, so I'm just taking a clear faceted gem and I'm putting it right onto my card, and I'm just putting a small rhinestone on each side of that. Now I'm taking my ribbon again and Gonna make a bow. Okay, I'm gonna set that aside. I'm also going to glue a piece of paper on the inside. This is just computer paper that I cut down to 5 1/4 by 4. I can stamp that later. Okay, I'm bringing in our new ice stamp and glitter and my fine tip glue. You guys should see the state of my desk. I'm having a hard time finding anything. I get so much stuff everywhere. Okay, I am going to go around this whole image, actually on top of that gold, and then I'm going to add some of that glitter. And I put the rhinestones down first because they won't stick on top of glitter. Just got a card base here to catch my glitter because it's handy. I need to get a container for this. But I'm just going to shake that on. And now you have that beautiful glitter on that gold foil. I think I want a little bit more down here. Next up, I'm using our new Snowfall Accents Puff Paint. This is really liquidy, so you want to shake it up really, really well. And this stuff is so cool, you guys. I used this at my stamp club this past week, and the girls had never seen this before, and it's magic. It's pretty cool stuff. So I am actually not even going to squeeze. I just want to see how it's going to come out first. And you see, even without squeezing, it's coming out. So I'm just, wherever I want some snow, I'm going to add this. And I'm just pouncing up and down a little bit. And use the tip to spread it around. You don't want it to be super thin, but you certainly don't want it to be very thick either. So just have a play around with it and then you'll get an idea. So I'm adding a little bit on the house because of course it snowed the night before, and a little bit on the snow on the trees. And again, I'm barely even squeezing it, you guys. I'm just kind of tapping it, kind of pouncing it lightly. And I think that's good. Okay, I'm gonna pull that down a little. Whoops, see, lots came out just now. Okay, I'm just gonna put that away. Now I'm gonna get my heat gun and I'm gonna zap that, and it's gonna puff up. So you're gonna hold the heat gun kind of close, but not so close that you're gonna scorch it. So you'll see how I do that here. You also don't want to move it around too much because it's going to move that paint. So try to hold it in a straight up and down direction while it's heating. So do you see how that's puffed up? Is that cool or what? So this one, can you see that this little bit here is puffed up a little bit too high for my liking, so I'm just gonna push it down a little bit. Easy peasy. And I actually want a little bit more snow right in there, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more. Isn't that neat? We have snow. Pretty far out. Okay, now I am taking my fine tip glue again, and I'm going to add dazzling diamond glitter this time, and I'm going to add a little bit to the trees because I want them to look icy and sparkly because it's a cold, crisp, beautiful day. So they don't have snow on them, but they do have a little bit of ice. That's my story anyways. So coming in with my Dazzling Diamond glitter. Dazzling Diamonds is a lot more fine than our ice glitter. See? It's looking beautiful. I'm going to do the bow next. I'm taking my glue dot. Actually, I had one of my lovely subscribers who may be watching this suggest the tear and tape for our ribbon, and I thought that's a great idea. So I'm going to take your suggestion. Thank you for that. I'm sorry I can't remember who it was, but I remember reading it, thought that's a brilliant idea. I love how we all share. I love my little YouTube community, and I appreciate you guys all so much. You really do mean a lot to me, and I love learning from you guys as well. And look that's a great idea. So thank you to that wonderful person that shared the idea of using the tear and tape instead of a glue dot, because it catches all these little ends, so it stays on there really, really nice. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to do on this card is add some of our new shimmer crystal effects, and I'm going to put this over the house. Take a couple of hours to dry. I had a lot of fun making this card when I made one the other day. This is the first one that I made, exactly the same, and it's completely dry, but you see that gloss? It's just so pretty. Oh, and I used silver on this. You see how I've got the gold? This is with the silver edge. So I find these cards really vintagey to me, and I love how they look. I love vintage things. And this is a lovely stamp set. It's a great bundle with the dies and this new embossing folder. I hope you enjoyed today's card tutorial as much as I enjoyed making these cards for you. Thanks for watching. Please remember to hit the subscribe button, and always, I appreciate you. Happy stamping!